Good morning. Shane Watson here with Strategic Business Solutions, and today it is my opportunity to talk about training session two, the total cost of ownership study. And again, purpose of all of this is to try and help you as sales associates differentiate yourself from your competitors. We hope that the tools that we provide certainly help you do that. I refer to this slide almost each time we do a training here, and this is kind of our perception of just watching what you do over the last several years and the things that we think you're trying to do as you go through this sales process with prospects. One is you're trying to help those prospects connect and learn, and two, help them understand their business, three, help them understand their challenges, obviously help them find solution to their challenges, and hopefully sell them business and create a relationship of trust over time. Today we're going to talk about two and three, how we help them understand their business and how we help them understand the challenges that they might have within their business. So the Clearview Analyzer provides, as the slide says here, industry-leading technology to easily assist prospects to gather data and determine their HCM total cost of ownership, which hopefully, the result is obvious. It helps them understand their business and where costs are and where spending is, and by understanding that, hopefully we can help them to get those costs under better control or look at things through a different set of eyes. SBSI provides support and media to help introduce concepts to the prospect. I'll show you that as we get into the training here. And then helping them understand their challenges at the end of all of this, when we produce the total cost of ownership report, we provide summary level and detail level data about costs and cost allocation. We benchmark that against hundreds of studies that we have conducted, and it helps the prospects understand where they are in terms of being overinvested or underinvested. Also helps them educate key decision makers who might really not understand that there's significant costs happening in the HCM area. So that's the objective of all of this, and just so everyone's aware, there's 5 training sessions that we're putting together to help educate folks on what we do, and we certainly invite you to leverage these in your team meetings and everything else. So in addition to this one on the total cost of ownership study, there's the analytic overview, which is video 1, and then building the business case is video 3, video 4, leveraging assessment tools within Clearview, and then video 5, RFP development, should that be required. So I'm going to get into this and obviously get out of this PowerPoint if I can, and I'm going to bring up the Clearview tool, and let's kind of take a look at how this works. So let's kind of take this from the start. You're talking with a prospect. It becomes clear that they need to do some business case work, or they need help understanding their total costs so that you can get the ball rolling in the sales process. First question is, what do you do to work with SBSI, and how can we help you? First thing that you would do is contact myself or Lynn McCoy or anybody in our organization. There's a help desk number here in the Clearview tool. You can call that, and we certainly have a person there from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Mountain Time. She can direct you to one of us, and we can get involved. I think most of you that have worked with us will agree that we respond pretty quickly if you send us an email. And what we try to do then is set up an intro call with the prospect, which gives us a chance to explain what we do, how it works, what we would need from them to be involved, what kind of time they're looking at, and kind of set things up with a study. Within this Clearview application, over here under training videos, where you find all of these trainings as well, there's a TCO introduction that we leverage in that call. It's a more professional one, obviously, than the training videos that I'm doing now. We had some marketing people work with us on this, but when we do that intro call, We try to play this video or at least discuss the content with the prospect. And so I would encourage all of you to take a minute and look at that just so you're familiar with what that communication track looks like. Objective of that call is to give the prospect the assignment within a day or two to come back to us with the list of individuals who need to be participating in the study. So what drives that is obviously what's in scope. Are we looking at all of the pillars of HCM, or just narrowing that scope to payroll or time and labor? Is it just a benefit study? So all of that scope obviously drives who needs to be involved. Once we get that information, we go in and create the study through this new study window. We do all of that for you, so I'm not even going to get into it today to go through it, but it literally takes us 5 minutes to set up the study, get them into the system, and get them activated and access to the surveys. Why do we take a day or two to do that? Typically, there is some internal communication that needs to take place. We don't want to send people surveys and have them wonder what it is and where it's coming from. So as part of that intro call, I'll tell those coaches and executives that are involved that they need to do some level of communication with the employees and hopefully position the study in a way that's not threatening, and that people know that it's about getting them help, and try to put as positive spin on it as we can so that they're ready when we invite them to the study. Once the prospect is put in as a participant, they are prompted through the Clearview tool with a message that allows them to follow a link and create a password and access the studies that they need to. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about the total cost of ownership, how it's structured, what it does, and the reporting that comes out of the process. So I'm going to open up this demo core public, which is just a demo client here, and I'm going to go into the report hub because I think this is the best way to probably explain what we're doing here within this total cost of ownership study. So as you can see here, the way that we have set up these studies to try and make this easy for people to understand, we have broken up the world of HCM into 8 what we think are logical pillars. That just kind of helps them understand the things that we're after. So you've got payroll, time and labor, HR, benefits, recruiting and onboarding, comp, learning management, and performance management. And obviously there's a lot of things that finger into those head topics there and kind of fold out into more detail, but those are the main ones. All of these can be activated or inactivated. So we can do a study that just looks at payroll only. We can activate all 8 of the pillars as is demonstrated here. If you want to do a study just to look at benefits administration, that can be done as well. Within each of these pillars, we leverage an element of cost structure, which is really the recipe of the costs that we produce and gather and put into these studies. And so let's kind of go through those quickly just so that you understand what they are. There are 3 buckets of labor that we look at. The first would be the processing labor, which is people who report to these HCM departments. So it would be the payroll department, the benefits department, comp department, the recruiting and onboarding department, those kind of things. But it could also be an extension of different folks. So you may have folks in the tax department that come over and assist payroll to do year-end close and W-2s and those kind of things. So we'd account for that labor as well. The second bucket of labor is going to be the IT people that sustain applications in-house. So if they've got Lawson or PeopleSoft or something like that that's on their own servers, chances are they have some IT people there that are sustaining those applications and doing daily maintenance and database work and network communications and possibly custom reporting and even some help desk functions. So we'll document that. Third bucket is the field labor, and I refer to this as the manager engagement portion. So what we're measuring here within each of these pillars is what is this HCM service model asking managers to do to interface with it. So if I give my employee a performance appraisal, what do I have to do that? How am I approving time or approving leaves? Am I asked to hand out paychecks for 2 hours every pay period? Things like that. What do I have to do if I want to hire somebody into a position? So all of those things get handled in the field labor section. This general information survey is a survey that comes along for the ride no matter what we do. So if it's a single pillar or all pillars, we're still going to deploy this general information. This is where we gather number of employees, average rates of pay, how many people are paid on what cycle, number of new hires. Basically, the things that we need to do to calculate the total costs are requested in that very easy one-page survey that they complete. Then we have the processing non-labor area, and this is really getting to the departmental budgets, any facility costs, corporate exchange fees, overhead, like HR, finance, those kind of things that are a burden there. And then under the system maintenance non-labor, we're getting those same things for the IT people, but we're expanding that realm to also include disaster recovery, hardware, the licensing fees of software, any outsourced service providers from hosting or any of those things, AS400 CPU time, that kind of thing that would be involved in sustaining the application, kind of the raised floor computer room type things. And then lastly, we have the outsourcing fees, and these are going to be things like, maybe I'm in-house on payroll, but I have ADP doing W-2s and tax filing and garnishments, or, in recruiting, I've got my drug screens and background checks and job boards and things. I might have salary surveys and comp, those kind of things. And then while we're about this survey, we try to do some risk and opportunity assessment within each of the surveys. So, looking at what their claim spend looks like, or how they're doing premium collection, and how well integrated are they? Are they doing WOTC tax credits where they should be? Those kind of things where we can make recommendations and bring things to the table that might help improve their service model. So with that, let me just talk real briefly. I'm looking at a total cost of ownership report, so you can tell that this report comes out and very clearly articulates, you have a $22 million spend, here's what was included, here's the elements of cost that we followed. So, if we didn't include certain things, they would be red rather than blue, and we do that on purpose in hopes that, a C-level person looking at this might go, well, why didn't you include these things? And it gives us the opportunity to potentially widen scope. So the report then takes the summary findings by cost element, breaks those out, and tells them where those costs are. It also breaks it out by component so they can see where the spend is across payroll, time, and whatever pillars are included. This report is obviously dynamic, so if I only pick benefits and HR, they're the only two that would show up. And then the next thing that we do is benchmark. So we benchmark 3 groupings: the peer group of size, peer group of common industry, and peer group of common platform. So for example, here in payroll, I've got this annual cost, this many employees. I break that down to, a $752 per employee per year cost. This tells me that 88% of the companies in my database outperform this organization. If I look at the peer group of size, it tells me I had 191 companies that fell within 5 to 7,500, and 87% of companies outperformed them there. Using retail sales, which is their industry, we had 154 companies that lined up, and 97% of them outperformed them. So this company isn't doing very well. And then we also had, looks like 69 companies that were using JD Edwards to process payroll like this organization, and 70% of the companies outperformed them there. So you can see that broken out by each pillar that we have included. We can click this tab and actually get into a further level of detail. So by looking at this tab, I can actually break this $752 per employee per year charge out into the different components of cost. So this really starts to help when we talk about understanding the business and understanding where things might be a little off. I'm looking at this and I can see that they're spending $90 on payroll labor versus 73 and 65 in retail sales. So they're a little high on the labor. I can also look at this and see that they're significantly underinvested in technology. So you've got $7 against 54.17 and even 53 on JD Edwards, folks. And if I look at the field labor, there's a tremendous amount of work being pushed out to managers because of the fact that the technology is not in place. So they're probably doing a lot of paper forms, paper time cards, a lot of different things there that are causing these managers to do a lot of transaction management instead of making revenue for the company. So you can see how that kind of starts to help them understand the business, and these become target areas for us to go after when we move into the business case and start to develop the solution set. That is really it for total cost of ownership. Just to take this a bit further, we have the ability to actually print these as PDF reports so that they can be mailed and distributed. As a prospect or as a salesperson, as you're working through this and doing different things within the model, you have the ability as you log into the dashboard to see these prospects. So we can assign you to that. As long as you have an account within Clearview, we can edit the team and add you as a consultant. And as long as you have that, we have the ability to give you access to these reports. You can see the surveys as we're going through the study. You know, a lot of things that become kind of important. You can look over here and see, you know, if they've activated their accounts or not. The check mark indicates activated. Clock tells me they're still working on getting that account, but you can look at the surveys at any given time and see the number of resources that have been added in. You can open those surveys and look at them and see the data that's coming in from the prospect in real time. So it kind of gives you the ability to monitor and understand what's happening there. Obviously, if you have any questions, we encourage you to call this number or reach out to myself directly. Email is swatson@sbsi.us.com. If you need to set up an account, please go to nas.clearviewanalyzer.com, and if you do, you're going to get a screen that looks like this, and you just click New Sales User. It's going to ask you for your ADP email address. When you confirm that email address, it will send you a link that allows you to create a password, and you'll be off and running. Thank you for your time this morning.